Well, good morning, YouTube world. I thought I'd take you along this morning, this cold, blustery December morning, and I'll do a little episode I call Don't Try This at Home. I'm going to go into shore now. It's blustery northwest, blowing probably 15, gusting 25. Not terribly cold, 37 degrees out. But it's going to be a bumpy ride in the skiff, and that's what I'm going to take you along for today. So first thing we do is climb into our nice warm Mustang float coat here. Already got the spray pants on. I know this is going to be a wet ride. And then there was one. So the first thing we noticed this morning is that the last boat that was also out here on a mooring with me is gone to bed for the winter. So Charis is it. Still a few boats in at the marinas in slips for the winter, where I'll be shortly. But not until I've given up on getting in one last sail for the season. Now, northwest is not the worst direction here in Aden. Pretty well sheltered, so it doesn't really have much room to build up a fetch. But nonetheless, that 10-minute dinghy ride in from the mooring to the dock, it can be pretty breezy. So before we leave the boat, the first thing I always do is a quick walk around. Undo a loose sail cover snap here, refasten, go forward. Take a look at the mooring lines, make sure the chafing gear is in place, make sure the lines aren't fouled, make sure the anchors aren't chafing on them. General walk around, just good practice. Leaves the boat with peace of mind. Generally the skiff is secured alongside, which I have to do because of the tidal current that runs past the mooring. Generally secured with just 3 lines, a forward spring, and aft, and a forward line. When it's blowing this hard, there could be as many as 1 or 2 extra lines. But the part I'm always most apprehensive about is right here, is that from Charis down into the skiff, and that's where you can be careful. So a valid question would be to ask, why stay on the mooring this late? Is it really worth that one last cruise that you might get in between Christmas and New Year or early January? Yes, it is to me. But beyond that, Charis has 2 very different modes. The summer off-grid mode, which is really spring, summer, and fall, it's a little bit like going to a cabin that you have in the woods. To me, there's a degree of separation in going home at night to my mooring that doesn't exist when I'm on the dock. And not that I'm not grateful for being able to come to the dock for the worst months weather-wise. I certainly am. But there's something that resets you get in the skiff and cross this body of water to go home at night. You lose that when you're at the dock, and you can just step across and run back up to the office for something you forgot, or run up to the parking lot and jump in your car. There's a sort of sort of an insulation that occurs that I really like about the off-grid life. So you might rightfully ask why it is that there's such a sharp divide between my winter on-grid, on-dock mode and my 3-season off-grid mode. And that's essentially because the marina that I can still afford, singular, for Charis for the winter has fixed docks, and we're in about a 4 to 6 foot tide range here. The result of that is that I have to get my dock lines set and adjusted very specifically to properly hold Charis between the pilings. Once I do that, the solar panels are endangered by the pilings and have to come off. And the dock line lengths are so specific that at this point, nearly all of them are spliced on both ends, which means that there's only a little bit of adjustment left to me. So once I'm at the dock, that is the point at which it becomes too much of a time and effort burden to get in and out and just simply go out for a 2 or 3 day cruise. At that point, I strip the sails and settle in for the winter. Then too, I think that there's an element of self-test, an element of challenge to being off-grid and essentially generating and creating your own power, carrying everything you need in, carrying it out. I'm going to do a separate video on that, about this lifestyle being largely about schlepping. Those signs you see at the beach that say carry in, carry out, yeah, that's my life. So I do tend to push my boundaries a little bit in terms of staying unplugged as late as possible. A little bit of a personal challenge to see how late into the winter I can actually remain disconnected. But you know, besides the practical reasons that I've mentioned elsewhere, the philosophical point to all of this is it's kind of important to me. But philosophy has its limits, and to all of my self-challenge attempts, there is a point at which the pros list of remaining off-grid is outbalanced by the cons list of what can be a very cold and very bumpy and challenging commute in and out twice a day in the skiff. But if you ask me if I'd rather deal with this 20 minutes a day of cold, biting wind stinging your face and waves spraying all over you and your gear, or sit in commuter traffic trying to get to the nearest big city to work in a cubicle under fluorescent lights all day, no question in my mind that this is the commute that I would choose, and so it's the commute that I have chosen. Some might rightfully ask why it is that I switched to my, what I call the work skiff, doing these shots from the solar skiff that you may have seen in my earlier video. The solar skiff is my summer commute. The 40-pound thrust, 50-pound thrust, whatever it is, electric trolling motor is equivalent to about 3/4 of a horsepower. That skiff is also a smooth-hulled Whitehall type. The work skiff is fiberglass, though it is of a sort of fake lapstrake construction. The interesting thing about that is that those little strakes in fiberglass tend to shed water really nicely. The work skiff is a pretty dry boat, and with 3.5 horsepower, I can generally manage quite well to come and go, and including into some pretty gnarly conditions when we get a southerly blow and the swells are rolling into the harbor. So the work skiff is more seaworthy and definitely more suited to the off-season conditions such as you see here today. If you wondered at the efforts that I go to, as shown in one of my other videos, to get the ethanol out of the gasoline that I use in this small outboard and my generator and other small engines, you need wonder no further than how unpleasant it would be to have that engine quit halfway through this commute and have to resort to the oars to make it the rest of the way in. In more pleasant conditions, I've also got a Whitehall rowing dinghy that I'll use sometimes. And I remember joking with a friend once that the older I got and the more forgetful I got, the better shape my arms got to be in. So I guess there was some solace in that. But one does tend to strive for a slightly higher level of mental organization when there's a cold, wet ride between you and home. Well, that's my bit of philosophical musing and practical demonstration for today. Hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and share. And if you found yourself with a freezing cold chill running up your spine after this ride, well, go get warmed up, and we'll see you next week.